Are you looking to build an exceptional team? Our hiring toolkit bundle at luannigara.com/store is your comprehensive source for success. Craft compelling job descriptions, know the right interview questions to ask, and implement a thorough evaluation process so you get the right person. These were developed in collaboration with my cousin Eileen Hahn and based on her 40 years of experience in building exceptional teams, plus my insights from 1,000 plus interviews. Our toolkits are tested and proven. Whether you're scaling from 1 to 3 or from 3 to 10 or from 10 to 20, the Hiring Toolkit Bundle provides the guidance that you can use to plan your hiring strategy effectively. Go to luannigara.com/store and invest in your success by investing in the success of your team. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. You know, it's been a long road on this podcast, over 1,000 episodes, and every once in a while I sit down with someone and think, I could talk to this person for hours. And this was my exact reaction when I met today's guest at the Business of Interiors Community Summit in London last year, 2025. We had maybe, this guest and I, 15 minutes together at the end of the day. And she told me that she had 40 people on her team in London, another 9 in Dubai, and I almost fell out of my chair. And I thought, I have got to talk to her more. So today, Helen Bygraves is the co-founder and creative director of Hill House Interiors, one of the most recognized luxury interior design firms in the United Kingdom. She and her business partner, Jenny Weiss, built Hill House from the ground up over 28 years, growing it organically through word of mouth into an award-winning international practice. Their work spans London, the home counties, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. They are a Andrew Martin International Designer of the Year award recipient. They have their own couture furniture and lifestyle collection. And 3 years ago, they opened a second studio in Dubai. What I love about Helen is that she's going to tell you that none of this was planned. There was no roadmap, no investor. There was no moment when she said, someday I will run a firm of 50 people across 2 continents. There was just a willingness to say yes to the right opportunities, to surround herself with the best people she could afford, and to push through even when things got hard. And they did get hard, as they do in business. Today, Helen is here to share what 28 years of building something real actually looks like from the inside. The lessons from scaling, from managing a team, from expanding internationally, from the moments when she wasn't sure it was going to work, and what got her through. Let's hear what Helen Bygraves has to say. Hey, Helen, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, Luann. It's my absolute pleasure to be on your podcast. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I don't think you're as happy as I am, because I'm going to tell you what. I met you last year at the Business of Interiors Community Summit in London that Rachel Usher and Rick Campos run. I was a speaker. You were an attendee. And I don't know if you only went the one day, I feel like,
I
right?
did, yeah,
Yes,
just
you
the one.
only went the one day. And it was at the end of the day that you and I finally got a chance to talk. And we only had 15 minutes to talk. And you laid this, I'm like, I do it like I do with everybody. Oh, how are you? And you're like, a beat up. And I'm like, so tell me about your business. You know, how many people do you have in you're like, oh, yeah, I have an office here in the UK and I have another office in Dubai. And I'm like, oh, how many people do you? We're like, well, I have 40 in the UK and I have 9 in Dubai. I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, I need hours with this lady. And so
Well,
somebody we
Luann,
were,
can I
right?
just can I just
Yeah.
interrupt you? The reason
Yeah.
I went to the Business of Interiors Summit was actually to talk to you because I'd listened to you before. And I, you're being very modest now because I actually did say that to you on the day. And I said I was fascinated and you were very inspiring and I wanted to come to see you.
Well, thank you. And I didn't remember that part, but thank you. I kind of just let that go out the door, and I shouldn't because I definitely appreciate anytime somebody says
No.
that to me. But the thing is, I remember we were chatting maybe 10 or 15 minutes, got interrupted. I did, you did, whatever. And in my brain, I went, oh, I'm grabbing her tomorrow at breakfast. I'm grabbing her at lunch. And then I didn't see you again. I was like, wait, I need that unicorn back.
No, actually, I had another meeting I couldn't
Yeah.
actually miss, and so I said to Rachel at the time, "Can I just come for the one day because I can't make the 2 days?" She said, "Absolutely," and I said,
Yeah.
Luann is a must for me to come and chat to. She's very inspiring. I find you have great energy, and your words of wisdom rung true.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So,
A
we're
pleasure.
both going to be there this year. So, I'm super
Absolutely.
excited because you and your partner Jenny are speakers this year as well. And so, we'll have more time to chat. But right now, I get to ask some of those burning questions that I didn't
Fire
get a chance
away.
to ask. Exactly. So, interesting. I know from reading your background that you were not only a dancer, but you worked in the airline industry. And then, like many designers, you started designing your own home. And then, next thing you know, friends and family are like, do my thing. And then you've got your friend Jenny. And I guess at some point, the two of you decide you're going to do this together. And that's 28 years ago. And as I
Correct.
mentioned, 40 people on the team in London, 9 people on the team in Dubai, projects all over Europe and the Middle East, Africa, and all the places. So, gosh, I'm just like, I feel like I'm a kid in a candy shop. Like when I get a business owner like this, I'm like, oh my God, what should I ask her first? So I guess, at the risk of just, not really having a plan and just having 1,000 ideas, why don't you just like, what's an observation? Of course, I'm catching you off guard. What's an observation of, when I think back, this is one of the things that I can say consistently led to success, whether it was something that you, a way that you operated, a way that you, thought of your firm in terms of growth. Um, I can think of 5 different things that could be an answer to this. What comes to your mind, Helen, when you think about your firm, what you and Jenny have built?
Well, first of all, nothing, absolutely nothing was planned. So we've grown organically. Nothing. If you'd have said to me 28 years ago, you would have had 40 people in your company in the UK. You'd have worked all over the world. You'd have a Dubai studio. I just said never. Absolutely not. You must be joking. You're talking about somebody else. But as the time has evolved and the years have gone on, opportunities have come our way, and I think it's not being frightened to take those opportunities and not
Mm.
being frightened to explore where that may take you. And in a lot of respects, it's really exciting, a
Yeah.
little bit daunting, a little bit frightening, but go with it. And I think that's always like, shrug our shoulders. Let's see where it takes us. Let's try it. And we've just rolled with it over the years. It's just, one thing's happened and another thing has happened. It might be a recommendation. It might be a good group of networking people that we've got involved with, and things have grown. And
Interesting.
I think the thing is not to be put off, not to be, you know, face the fear and do it anyway. All those kind of things,
Mm.
they resonate. And I think that's really the beauty of it all. Nothing's planned, and look where we are.
Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. I can relate to a lot of that, and I can, confirm that, there's a lot of truth in an opportunity comes, it might be scary or daunting, like as you mentioned, but do it anyway. But I
Yeah,
also know there has to be some foundational things in. We can't
yeah,
do every opportunity that comes along. Because, and especially when you have a partner, one person likes one idea, one person likes another idea. And so I hear it. I do not say yeah, but to it because I know ultimately, I think what you're describing is the final decision is I don't have security in this decision. I don't have a crystal ball. And ultimately, I'm just going to put it on the line. But what are some of the things, like, for example, how about we just go back to, you start out you and Jenny. How
yeah.
many weeks, months, years before you add employees? Like, what's the trajectory of you and Jenny to 40 people in London? That is not like for the meek of heart.
No, so let me tell you. Obviously, we did start out just the two of us, and I
Mm.
think we had a small boutique where we had, in those days, fabric books and a few things like that. Um, but we very, very fortunately got involved in a big developer in the UK,
Ah,
but a very luxury developer because we knew we wanted to work in the luxury high end residential market. So we were given the opportunity to work with this developer, and very steadily over probably the next 5 years, our team expanded, and it expanded from one to two to three employees. And as it grew, so our capacity obviously naturally grew. So
right.
then the more people you employ, right, the more you have to then
More you got to
fulfill
get
the job.
projects.
So it's a vicious circle, and but one we really both enjoyed, and one that I mean I would say sheer enthusiasm really got us through a lot,
Mm,
and we
mm.
were learning, we were trailing all the design fairs, we were working with fabulous architects, and we were then employing interior architects ourselves, so expanding our horizons. And, we're really growing this foundation of a company that could work in the high end market proficiently and professionally, and really sort of letting our imagination run wild, really,
Mm,
because we were we were creatives at heart, and the
mm.
creativity is something that really spurred us on. But really, sort of surrounding myself, even at a very early stage, with the very best. And
Okay.
I learned that from a businessman. He said, Helen, always surround yourself with the very best you can afford because they are going to take you to the next level.
I
And I think
love
that's
that.
a real good bit of advice because,
Yeah.
you surround yourself with the best accountant or the best architect or the best project manager or whatever that may be. And then you watch it grow with, it was more effortless, really.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
not saying everything was a bed of roses. I'm not saying things didn't ever go
I don't
wrong.
think you have to
Of
convince us of
course
that.
they do. Yeah, because those things form the person you become, okay? So you
Yeah.
learn by mistakes
Yeah.
and you carry on. And for sure, we've all had hard times. I've had those moments where, we had a lot of overheads. Business for some reason dried up. And I would actually say moving with the times is such a big thing, right? We see it in this day
Mm,
and age, whether it be social media, now AI, all these things. You learn to not be frightened. You learn to
mm.
actually adapt very quickly to them because if you don't, that's when you can get left behind. And I think there was a period, probably 10 years ago, where we probably hit maybe a little bit of a drying up patch for work. And it was definitely that transition into social media. And
Ah,
it was definitely, we didn't adapt perhaps quite as quick as we should have done.
gotcha.
Looking back now, I can
Looking
see that.
back, yeah, the hindsight, you can see the
The
lesson.
hindsight, maybe 10 years ago is not quite right. Maybe it was about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And as soon as we jumped on the next bandwagon, let's say, jumped onto that technology, jumped onto that social world, the business changed overnight.
It came back.
And that
It
was the
came back.
biggest lesson, is never to be frightened of adapting to new ways. You know,
I
it's
love
like when
that.
AutoCAD came in, right, for architects, everyone thought, that's it, they're not going to need architects anymore. It was just a different way of working. And we're all thinking that with AI at the moment, right, everyone has to
Yes.
change, right? Because if you don't, you get left behind.
Right.
And you pick out the things that are going to make you more efficient, more productive, give you a bit more time. It's not
Mm,
necessarily that you won't need those people, but you use the way you're using the people is more efficiently
right.
in a better way.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I mean, that's the one saying about AI that I don't know who said it the first time I heard it a year or two ago. AI is going to take some jobs. There's no question. Just
of
like,
course,
when they invented the car, we didn't need blacksmiths anymore and,
yeah,
stable owners, right?
of course,
Um, but mostly it's going to take the jobs of the people who don't learn how to optimize and use AI, right? And so that's exactly what you're saying. It's like, if Instagram is a thing, then we got to figure out Instagram. If AI is a thing, then we got to, or in your case, these are two things that you are noticing that when you figure them out and you utilize them, they improve the situation for you. I have
yeah,
a question for you. A couple of things that you
sure.
said in there. I wrote some notes. Number one is, you know, I don't know if you know why or how you got the attention of that first major luxury developer, but even if you didn't know it then, again, hindsight. If somebody was saying, "Well, how would I get the attention of that high, luxury developer or that high-end luxury architect?" And to me, in conjunction with it is, if I'm going to teach somebody how to attract that, I also have to teach them and make sure you understand this is part of your deliverables. This is part of the bargain that they might not be able to enunciate, or they won't bother because they assume you're going to get it. So, in your hindsight view, what is that? If somebody, young designer, is looking at you saying, how do I attract this market? Your answer and the advice of, and make sure you understand this goes with it.
Well, we have a great saying at Hill House that you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Mm,
And remember that, the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of meeting somebody is probably the most valuable of that meeting. So, number one, turn up prepared, turn up looking your best, and be prepared.
yeah.
And this was very true of us in the beginning. Be prepared to do things for free initially. Give a
Mm,
little bit, because if you give a little bit, and I think that goes even to clients today, if you give a little bit before you ask about your fees or anything, you give a little example, you give a little snippet of what is possible. Those sort of things count for a lot in getting
mm.
new business. So
So
I
it
would
might
say,
be doing a little bit of a design or sharing a vision and not being afraid. Like, I'm not going to tell you my idea till you give me a check. It's like, let
no,
me
but it
show you.
might be doing a little bit of a look, mood, and feel that you think
Mm,
could transform a space, for
mm-hmm.
example. And it could be that when you're starting off, it might be other people's images, but it shows that how you are adapting your eye to that space and how you have a vision far beyond what it is now and how it could be.
Gotcha.
And I think giving somebody that little bit of insight gives them confidence. And what
Mm,
you want to do with your clients is show up, look the part, talk the part, but give examples of how you're not just talking, you're doing, you're
right.
creating, and how
I
you can
think
see that come to fruition.
It's interesting because I can relate that to a direct experience that Ariane Belazar, and I don't know if you know Ariane. She's a
Heard of her,
major
yeah.
influencer here, TV show, all the things. She's one of my great friends. I love the death out of her. Met her 10 years ago through the show. And she talked about how when she took Jenny Slingerland's class at Lou University, it used to be called for Design for Construction 101. And basically, this class, we teach you how to build a high level product spec book that you can work with the builder, the architect, and the consumer. And what's funny is that reminds me of that. She was in the class building the book. And, I think it was the third or fourth week of a 5-week class, whatever she had built at that point, because we don't give you a book. If you do
No.
the homework every week, you build the book by the end of the class in real time, right? Um, but she brought the book that she had built to a meeting with a developer with a construction firm. And he took one look at that book and he was like, oh, that's how you run a job? Okay, I'm going to give you a shot. And then 2 or 3 months into that one project, and she's delivering on all the things, he gives her two more projects. It was something like she closed like something like $65,000 worth of business in 2 months of taking the class. Because to your point, she didn't say, I'd make a really great spec book. She showed him the evidence of the way she shows up on the job, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So, don't talk the talk, do it.
Yeah.
Show. And give a little bit for free, because sometimes it comes back tenfold.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
of course, you have to have the right procedures in place. Of course, you learn by your mistakes along the way. But never be afraid to say, I've made a mistake there. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
what? I know the solution, and I'm
Right.
going to implement that solution. So, no one's infallible. No one can get it right all the time. But hands up when you've done something, or a mistake's happened, or something's happened. Be truthful, be honest.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because trying to fabricate the truth is,
Yeah,
is
it's going nowhere fast. You're just
exactly.
making it
So
worse.
hands up, I've made a mistake, but this is
Mhm.
what I'm going to do to rectify it, because people get that.
Yeah.
If you've made a mistake, but you know the solution, great.
Yeah. And I also want to ask you about a distinction that in my mind I'm taking as an assumption, but I'm going to ask you to confirm or say no, you've got it wrong. Is there's one thing when you're meeting with somebody that legitimately is potentially a high value partner, whether it is a developer, an architect, it could be the direct consumer, but it is recognizable that it is the ideal high value client. There's, to me, if I give that high value client, like you mentioned, a little bit of a mood board or blah, 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 like this is what you just said to me, this is what it means to me, envision, and I can take it further. That is a very different giveaway for free when on the other end of it, you have Sally Smith, the homemaker, who wants paint and furniture layout for her home, and she's intending to go buy it retail. And we're not giving that person a mood board, right? Like, in other
Yeah.
words, we don't take the sentence, give a little bit for free, at face value on all
No.
things. It's
No.
right. So explain that.
Yes, for sure. I mean, you could, having had the retail showroom, there's a lot of messes around in this world, and you don't want to be doing that, because you'll be going round and round in circles. So this is where I think I was very fortunate that, I had a career in dance, which had great discipline, and that taught me that, you had to really stick to what you're doing, and, you know, be hardcore, like, you
Yeah.
know, be sort of
It's a
reliable, be conducive, but
it's
also
precise.
be precise, right?
Right. Yes.
But the flying side of me also learnt people. I
Yeah.
learnt that every job has given me a, a talent, I suppose, and that
Yeah, we
talent
call
was
them our Eric Award transferable skills.
exactly very much transferable skills. And one person's way of answering could be very different to another's, but you get to know the difference. So you get to know if someone's putting you on a wild goose chase, or that actually, no, I can tell this person is for real.
They're vetting me,
They're
really
vetting
vetting
me,
me.
they're for
Yep.
real. And you sort of, yeah, you get a very good idea of people's personalities and people. I mean, I'm not saying I always get it right, but you
Right.
get a very good idea.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, you don't want to be giving all your ideas to somebody that's going to go and buy it from somebody else down the road because they get a 10% discount or something like that.
You
You don't want
nailed
to be
it.
wasting your time. Although you do it once, you probably won't do it again. But also, you know, you you feel it. It's something you feel with people, and it's
Yes.
quite hard to put into words sometimes. But you have a way. I have perhaps a way of sounding people out a little bit as well, and saying, so is this your first project? Have you done it before? Have you got a budget? Have you got a time scale? what's the other people that you've got on board? So if it is a new build, have you got a contractor? Have you got an architect? And you soon get to know if people are giving you the correct answers or not.
Yes.
And
Yes.
don't get me wrong, I've been the first person on a job
Yeah.
before a contractor, before an architect. And I've seen your work on socials, and I absolutely love it. And then I sometimes put the team together. I get asked to put the team together.
That's
That's really
nice.
flattering. It doesn't happen very often, but it has happened for sure. So I think it is asking a number of questions that
Hmm.
are going to be responsible for whether or not you take that job on.
And I
You
think,
pretty much can ask maybe 6 or 7 questions to know your answer.
yes, and I think the key thing to say, and yes, and to that whole thing, Helen, is when you ask the questions, don't ignore the answers that you're getting, both physical, like out loud, and the answers you're getting in your gut, right? Like
Absolutely.
I know, I'm going to tell you, I've had more situations with designers in conversations, coaching calls, all of the things where they're talking to me about how this particular client is so-called taking advantage of them, always wanting a more thing, doesn't appreciate. And I'm like, well, say, when did you get that first feeling that they were like that? Almost every time it was in the discovery call, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? And if it wasn't discovery call, it was the consultation. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I'm not one
Listen
for
to your instinct.
qualifying people out of my business, but we can't ignore our inside voice on what it's telling us, right? It's like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, don't let greed overtake either, because we have actually only the other day turned down a job, and it was because another designer was working on this job actually, and I'm always I always have my horns up. I'm a bull. I always have my horns up when someone says, "Oh yeah, we've already been working with another designer," and I always think, "Well, why has that ended?"
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nine
yeah.
times out of 10, it's not the designer.
Right.
And I did my due diligence on this chap, and I knew that his ethics were wrong. I knew people in the past hadn't been paid. I'm not going to take a job on like that. I'm going to
No.
support my counter trade people, and I'm not going to take a job on like that. I'm not going to sort of go into somebody who behaves badly,
Yeah,
has the wrong work ethics,
yeah,
isn't reliable. There's no need to do that. And
yeah.
sometimes there's something very powerful in saying no to a job. If you
Oh,
don't
yeah,
feel it's the right fit, listen to your instincts for 100%.
exactly.
Listen to your instincts. And some of us have to do that sometimes, and
Yeah,
don't think about, oh, but I could earn this, or I could get me this, because it actually could go the other way.
I
And
agree.
that's very important.
And I find, in the early stages of business, it might not always be, I'm trying to make it a yes because I, want the money. I think in the early stages, at least my experience in all the conversations tells me that a lot of times it's simply, well, that's what I'm thinking, but it's probably not true. Like they don't trust themselves. Like you said, when you started this, we were given opportunities that we took advantage of. You have to both look to see, when you have 5 opportunities, you have to have a process for figuring out which one or two are worth it. But you also have to have the process for figuring out which ones are no's. And the reasons could be because the person is not a kind person and it's not an ethical person. The reason could be because this person expects. I just had a coaching client, the client wanted, it was $400,000 or $500,000 worth was the budget. And they're like, I need to do it for two. And the question to me is like, what do I say? I'm like, the answer sounds like a no. I mean, we're
Well,
not like
the answer
200 to
is
250. We can't change a couple selections. Like, just say
absolutely. You
no.
have to compromise. So you have to compromise. So the client needs to compromise. You cannot
Yeah.
do exactly the £400,000 job or dollars for half or a
No,
quarter.
it's
It just
it's
doesn't
like, what
work
do you
like
want to
that.
give up? Like, what do
Yeah.
and if you don't want to give anything up, then you know what? No, no, I'm educated and I know, and I want this job. But what my thing is it harder to say it now when you're still in discovery conversations and consultations, or is it harder when you're 8 months in and you're through your first 200K and now you're saying, you need 200 more? Like, how do you think that conversation's going to go?
No, exactly. And the problem here, Luann, is, and I know many people in my time, um, you know, creatives are not always the best business people
You
because
think?
we didn't go to business school, right? We didn't go to business school. We've learned on the hop, or we've learned by listening to good people like that chap I told you about. Surround yourself with the very best.
Yes.
Because, I mean, after 28 years in business, as I said to you, I started the conversation and I actually didn't finish it. I've had times where I've had to remortgage my house
Yeah.
to get us out of a situation. But what I would say is the mistakes I made before, I wouldn't do it again. And I
100%.
soon turned, I had the belief in myself, right? I had the belief in the company that actually we've had a bad time, but I know it's going to get better. And I know how I'm going to fix it, right? I had a plan. And if I didn't, I don't think I'd have ever taken on that remortgage or anything like that. But there's something about when you have to make it work, you find the solutions to make it work. And
Yeah.
and they are talking to people, they are being honest with people, they are, creating something that for sure you can be creative to make things look a lot better, a lot more than they actually are. And in the beginning, I had to do that a lot. So I would say sometimes there's good that you're under a little bit of pressure, and sometimes there's a negative side of it. But I would say my experience has been it's pushed me. It's
Yeah.
really pushed me to do better decisions, wiser decisions. But you need to be true to yourself, true to your brand, and true to your capabilities.
Yeah. You know what? I love that you described that, there was a point when you had to remortgage. I'm just going to say to you because,
Yeah,
and what I loved the connection to it was that you said, but I believed in it. I
I did.
believed in myself and I believed in the business and you believed in Jenny. And, it's, it's funny because there's been an explosion of business coaches in the space over the last 3 to 5 years. And it's not that if you're in business 3 to 5 years, and that's just a coincidence in the timeline, that you can't teach somebody something, that you can't be of value to them. It's not that. But it's like if you have not had your teeth kicked in yet, I'm not sure how much perspective you can bring to a coaching situation. You know what I'm
100%.
saying?
Yeah, I do. And I think with business generally, if you're also, you've got to be such an all-rounder, okay? So you can be a great designer, but you've got to be able to talk to people. If you can't network, you're not going to get that next introduction that might be another, an amazing project to do. So you've got to be able to come out of your comfort zone and connect with people.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's a big thing. A lot of people perhaps are a bit shy. I mean, even doing things like this, right? Podcasts. A couple of years ago, I didn't do them. Now I do a lot more of them.
Yes.
And, the more you do something, the more confident you get, or, you don't hide as much as perhaps you did a long time
Yeah.
ago. So I think, taking yourself, as I say, outside of your comfort zone will pay rewards at the end of the day. You
Right.
will pay dividends because you will be speaking to that person that you never spoken to before. They will come around to a topic that you feel very comfortable with. They may have a project in an area that you know very well, that you've had experience working. If you didn't speak to that person in the first place, you wouldn't even be in the room with the chance of having that project. So
Exactly.
it's a vicious circle.
Well, and it's
Absolutely.
also, it's not the only box you have to get yourself out of. It's the box of, networking and talking and all of that. But it's the box of, I don't really want to build process and systems. Well, I'm sorry. You're going to have to do it.
Absolutely.
It's the box of, I don't really get the finances. Well, that's too bad. You're going to have to do it. Like,
Yeah.
you got to get yourself out of all the boxes, the operational box, the finance box, the marketing box, to your point with Instagram several years ago, the leadership box,
Yeah.
it's like, you can't just say I'm not that good at it. You've decided to own a business. Now, how can you do that? How can you say, well, what I'm really good at is is designing, and I resent that I've got to learn these other things. What's your lane? You know what your lane is? You go work for a superstar like Helen. You just go and you're like, I'm a designer. That's what I do. Helen worries about the networking. She worries about the finance, right? Because that's a
Not everyone
valid
can do it,
path.
right?
That's right.
Not
It's a
everyone.
valid path. Right.
Not
Yeah.
everyone is cut out to have a business. And let me tell you, there's a lot goes into it. We all know that. There's a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of late night calls. Your time off is never your time off. You're never on holiday without business calls. That's a thing of the past. And you have to be
Mm.
prepared to learn, as you say, about the things that are not so nice as well as the things that are nice.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I sit down with my accountants now, and we find out the projected figures, projected, if somebody hasn't paid for a while, how are we going to go and get that money off them? All those things that don't go with being a designer and creative.
Exactly.
You mentor the young children, you get young new recruits. I love seeing the young new apprentices coming up, watching them blossom,
Yeah.
creating beautiful new designers, and go out into the world and create beautiful things. There's nothing gives me more passion to see,
Yeah.
in 28 years, I've had quite a few people come
I can
through, like I
imagine.
call it the Hill House Academy. But don't you know what? We've got a lot of these. I mean, I'm very lucky. I have an amazing group of people. I'm not just saying that. And I've got a lot of people that have come through the academy and are still with me. 16 years
Yes.
on, 17 years on.
That's
Very
amazing.
proud of that, actually,
That is an accomplishment.
because it's also how you treat people as well.
That's right. That's a very much an indicator of the business leader and their skills and the environment and the culture they create. If people stay, 6, 8, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it's funny because Vinny was just in the hospital recently. He had to have 2 surgeries in the February and March. And the hospital we were at, the first day, the first surgery he had, we probably met 8 different people between anesthesiologists, doctors, nurses, and they call them the runners that bring you from one department to another, right?
Yeah.
And the person that was at that hospital, the least length of time, was there 9 years, and she was like 28 years old. It was like, but we met one person that was there 25 years. We met somebody that was working at that hospital as a nurse for 30 years. Another one that was there for 35, and his son was now a nurse in the hospital. And when the runner was taking Vinny from the recovery room to his room, we were now at this point there all day, and we're like, so how many years have you worked here, And he's like, well, I've been here 27 years, blah, blah, blah. And we were like going crazy. And he said, oh my goodness. He goes, we have a lady in the administration office that she just passed her 50th anniversary at the hospital.
Wow.
And, we just like,
Someone's doing something right.
It supported the experience that we were having at the
Yeah.
hospital. The experience was top shelf from beginning to end. And then you add that on and you're like, yeah, this isn't smoke and mirrors. This is a good experience. This isn't luck. People don't stay this long when something isn't well run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, teamwork is dream work. We say this every day, right? And that is because we create. We've always said when people welcome to the Hill House family, and Hill House Interiors is a family, and we all club together. We have deadlines. We have to do a late night. I say to some of the team, right, guys, we got a deadline. Who's up for staying late? And I'm going to buy the pizzas, and we're going to have it, and we're all going to accomplish this together because many hands make light work, and all together we can create this. And we do it. And we haven't done it. We don't do it every week, but when needs
fun
must,
every week.
when needs must, we get it done. And it's not all the time. It's very rarely, but when it does, we all club together. And that's okay. I'm going to help my colleague. I've been in that situation. You've helped me. I'm going to help you. Jenny and I are not frightened of getting our hands dirty. We still meet the clients. We're still on the job, on the installations. We're still there at handover. We're still very much active. We're not just fictitious bosses. We're active bosses, and we show by example. I don't expect anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself, and that's my motto.
Yeah.
And I think, that's what we take with us. And educating the young, showing them, and saying to somebody, look, you did that mistake today, but don't worry about it. We've all done that. But this is how you put it right. Saying things turning a negative into a positive. I'm always a great believer in that. Every negative has a positive, and learn from that message. And
exactly. It's
way
only
you
a failure if
somebody,
if you can't correct it, right? It's only a failure if you can't figure out how not to do it again.
And you know what? Some staff don't work out for one reason or the other. And, unfortunately, we've all been in a situation where maybe we've had to get rid of a staff member for one reason or another. It's not what you say is how you say it.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
still a decent way to say it.
Yeah. Always.
And
You
I
can
always
always find it.
believe in, remember who you are when you're going up because you're going to meet them if you come down again. You know what I mean? So, be very polite, be very diplomatic, and just say, you know, we're just not a good fit. And
Yeah.
and sometimes that happens. I'd
Yeah.
like to say not very often, but
Yeah.
occasionally it does. We're in a real world. Nothing is
Right.
always perfect. And I think you can say things nicely. I learned that from, again, some of our wonderful clients that I've had over the past, and that some of the nicest clients as well. And they're very powerful. They have very powerful jobs. The head
I
of,
imagine they do.
British Gas and different things that, like that. But they're genuinely lovely people, and they
Yes.
say what they got to say in a very polite, lovely way. And
Right.
yet, not everything has to be said aggressively, or you can still get the message across. It's
Right. Right.
still the words are the same, but it's how you make that person feel.
100%. 100%. So, one of the questions I had for you is you and Jenny, and
Yeah,
you just alluded to your involvement in the firm and so forth. So, one part of the question is, do you have different superpowers? Like, is one of you operational integrator and the other one is, visionary, creative, or are you both the, similar skill sets and you hire around you for the others? And then I want you to talk about, with the 40 people in the one office, like, how many are lead designers, or are you and Jenny running every project and everybody is in support, or are you passing off projects and other people are leads? How do you structure that, Helen?
yeah. Well, first of all, Jenny and I are both creatives,
Okay.
and I must say we both still love doing that. However,
Mm.
I would say I have taken on a lot more of the business side of things as well. So I perhaps the one that's perhaps pushed the business a little bit more than, say, Jenny. Jenny's a fabulous business partner that she goes along with all my ideas.
Oh, that's the best kind. If she could
Yeah.
talk to Vinny, that'd be
But
great.
when I'm perhaps feeling weak one day, and perhaps I'm a bit under the weather, or perhaps something's happened in life, you know, Jenny's always been the one. She's stepped up every time. She's not
Mm.
no wallflower. She's definitely stepped up, and she definitely does. To play her share in running the company. However, I would say we do have a very different skill set, and
Yeah.
I'd say we laugh about this quite often because Jenny often says to me, "I can't understand a word that client's saying," but because of my understanding, it might be it might be a sort of um, you know a language barrier, and the way they talk, I can diffuse what they're trying to say. And she said, I didn't get a word of that. I said, well, what they meant was da 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 da, and it's quite funny actually. And she went, how did you understand
I
that?
don't know how you got that out of that.
So I think it's having this ear for different languages and different interpretations, and that's when
Yeah, because
might say
you're
my
talking
previous
with people from many different countries and languages. And so just
absolutely
they're all talking English to you, but the
different
accent is
cultures,
completely different, right?
different ways people want to live, different beliefs and religions that you have to incorporate into their home for whatever reason,
Yeah.
all sorts of things like that. So I would say that was, definitely a plus for me. But then Jenny's got other spiritual qualities. She does a lot with the crystals. She does a lot with the healing. If we've had a bad situations, she'll sage the office, or what she'll do. So, that's
I
another
love it.
side of her.
I'm
We're
up for the
quite
saging the bad juju out. I'm all up for it.
exactly. So there's all these different sort of like innuendos with Jenny, oh, Helen will do that. Helen will, we've both been in the interior designers pantomime, for instance, and we're up on stage and we've worked with all sorts of people, and we've performed on stage, and all the team come and look at us and thinking, we got
You're
these mad
nuts.
bosses. No, you do things. We did a lot for charity. We do a lot of work, as I say, mentoring. And we've both got off the different things that we bring to the table for
Yeah,
sure. But
that's
designing
awesome.
is still both of our passion,
Okay.
very much so. And what was your other question? I know
So
it was
the
a lot
other
about.
question is, like, when a potential project comes in, I heard that you said that you guys are still taking those calls, but do you then say,
Oh
this is
yeah,
a great project, we're going to give this to Sally and Mary, and they're
absolutely.
going to run that little team of lead and design and junior, or lead and whatever is going to run it? How do you actually, first of all, with the two businesses and the 50 one employees between all of you,
Yeah.
How many projects a year, just like rough, are you executing? Is that 20 projects because they're of such high level caliber that it takes 6 people to run one job? Or is it like 100 projects? Like, how is that working?
Well, the most we've ever had is 50 in a year,
50.
and
Wow.
that's at very different stages. And as you may well know, some projects start, they may be stuck in planning,
Yep.
they may be stuck in, I don't know. We had, a large property, a palatial home of 30,000 square feet. Can't think of it in meters, but square foot property. And we had a lot of water in the basement, and it took them a long time, the contractors, to get out of the basement. So
Yeah.
unforeseeably, it's like I always say, like booking your slots in with your interior designer. It can change overnight. It's a bit like an aircraft going half empty or overbooking it to come full, because sometimes, through no intention of your own or no fault of your own, projects can get stopped in
Sure.
finance, or they can get stopped in planning, or there may be construction issues. A contractor may go bust, and then
Mm.
that's all the familiar. So
You've
it's
seen
a
it
little bit
all.
unpredictable. You either get, all the trains coming along at once, or sometimes they slow down. It's very unpredictable. But I think it's definitely, over the years, we've obviously had those layers put in. We have to. We cannot operate with just us as bosses and everyone else as Indians. No, we've got the people that have come up through the ranks. We like to promote within. And if people have proven themselves, why bring someone else from the outside? Promote within. And
Yeah.
we've got, FF&E director, technical director, a couple of, quite a lot of senior design associates now that are taking on mentoring roles with the juniors. We've got our finance manager, our marketing manager. Of course,
It's a
we've got
big
our team
thing.
around us. We have
Yeah.
to. We
Yeah. Yeah.
cannot run an empire like this, just the two of us,
No.
two chiefs and all the rest are Indians. That just does not work. So
No.
yes, we've got our procedures in place now. Even next Monday, we've got new management meetings where we're talking about new procedures because of AI, because of different
Yeah.
things,
Things
with different
change
technology.
constantly.
We're always evolving, and yeah, you have to have your tiers, and obviously as a business, that's the only way it's going to run when you grow in size and stature.
So when, for example, you assign a new client comes in, the project, you determine it's going to go to this particular senior and her, team or his
Yeah,
team, whoever they run
yeah.
with that. Is it that that person runs and executes and then brings creative direction to you and you yes no edit, or you just see the client at the beginning and you see the client again for strawberries and champagne? Like how do
No,
you
we're very
actually?
involved. We're
Okay,
very
so you
involved.
guys are hands in on the design, even though a senior is the lead for that design.
Not always. Every job is
Okay.
different. I think we
Okay.
can't categorize every job the same.
Interesting. Okay.
But I would say is that, what I like to do is, when I've met that client, and Jenny and I may split up for this. Right? Jenny may go and see that client, and with one of the senior designers who we might think might be suitable. And sometimes, we actually, look at the clients, look at the sort of people that they are, look at their personality, and then we may be thinking that designer would be perfect for that.
Yes. You
It
do have
might
to
be
do
that
that kind of
they've got a
chess
young
match.
family, and this designer has a young family. They're on the same wavelength. It might be that their background, of maybe their cultures, are very similar.
Hmm.
It may be that their logistics of where they live is very similar. So there's all sorts of reasons why we may pair people up together. But fundamentally, we go to that first appointment. Whoever comes along with us might take notes. We'll come away either with that designer, or we'll assign a designer once we've won the project. And I like to sit down with the designer that we've assigned, and a junior, and maybe an IA person, or whoever that may be, and run through my thought process
Your
on
vision
that
of it.
project.
Yeah.
So I heard this client very clearly. They want a family home. They want to have fabrics that are suitable for young children, but they also have these heirlooms that they want to bring with them. So they have particular items that mean a lot to them, and work around things like that. And what I do is, I have an input. I might say my feeling would be, I think it should be X, Y, and Z. It should be an oasis of, I don't know, something from Spain or something like that. They've got a Spanish influence. It might be a color palette. It might be a vibe. It might be, it might be a scenery that goes on a wall, whatever it might be. And I try and sort of like encourage them to listen to what the client says and really bring it back into the presentation. We've listened really carefully to your brief and we've introduced this because you said X, Y, and Z. And really,
Right.
listen to your client all the time.
Mm.
And so I almost like want to do a design guard in that formula is kept to. So when all the designs are put together, and I could be walking past, the board, the mood boards, and I'll say, "Show me what you've done so far." But also, prior to showing the client, they present to Jenny and I
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. You're
So
you're
we
you're looking at it.
completely, get it. We completely, and we're quite controversial. We might say, "But have you considered that? What have you got going in that space?" So we kind of like we're the critic of the client before they see the client.
Gotcha.
So I
Yep.
think it's very much, sort of getting them prepared, especially
Mm.
if they're much younger generation as well and haven't done that many presentations, really preparing them for what could come their way and
Yeah.
being, ready for it. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we've
No.
always kind of got a backup palette as well. If we say, if you don't like this, there's here another one we've made that equally can go in with this. If we just change a few of these things, we've got option number two,
Right.
without
Right. Right.
giving 17 options, but
Yes.
just keeping it, down to one or two. So it's yes, it's very very much a guiding thing, and then we're 9 times out of 10 we're there at the presentation as well. In
Gotcha.
extreme situations, we're not a very top lead designers involved in that, and they
Yes.
can very much. I mean, let me tell you, we've probably got a good 10, 12 people here that
That
don't
could do
really
it.
need us at all. I flatter
Don't tell them
myself.
that.
I
Don't tell
flatter
them that.
myself that they actually might need me. They really don't, in fact. But I just think it's nice for the client if we are there wherever
Yes.
possible.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
often I say nothing. I let them do all the talking, but it's
Right.
just the support,
That's
really.
right. It's
We're not trying to
it's
catch anyone out. We're just trying to support, and we're trying to, meet our clients' expectations and exceed their expectations. Actually,
yes.
yeah.
100%. 100%. Now, what's like just like a practical question. How long is the flight from London to Dubai?
Around 7 hours.
Holy crow. This is okay. So this is like even more longer than going from New York to California.
Yeah.
So how often are either you or Jenny at the Dubai office?
Once a month.
Wow.
Once a month. And in that month, we cross over. One of us tends to be there,
Mm-hmm.
but we tend to get the red eye flight from London. I tend to get it
Mm.
on a Sunday night.
Mm.
Arrive Monday and work all day Monday. And you've
Hit the
often got,
ground.
you've got a 3 hour time difference now in the summertime. You've got 4 in the winter. So that's it's significant enough. So quite often I get off the plane, I'm straight into the office. I work all day. I try to go to bed quite early. And then I normally leave the following sort of like Friday night. I try not to do 2 red eyes in a week. That's a bit
Yeah, yeah.
harsh. But
Yeah.
yeah. And I work in the Dubai office that week. And, obviously with technology, whether you're in the Dubai office or the London office, we're
Right.
very
But
much
that's your
connected.
culture. Like you were talking about, we're all going to dig in and we're all going to get pizzas. Like the culture moments happen when you
Yeah,
get to be boots on the ground. So you're
yeah,
spending about a week a month and Jenny's spending a week a month
yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Okay. And
And
then
again, we've got a fantastic, amazing team in Dubai. We've
oh,
got a
you have to.
fantastic general manager out there,
Yeah.
Carla. She's from Liverpool. Absolutely amazing. She's got the beat of Hill House as well. She's got that heartbeat with her, and she
Yes.
creates exactly that heartbeat that we create or have created in London, in Dubai.
No,
She's
that's great.
definitely, the family member.
Yeah. And what was the impetus for Dubai? Was it an opportunity? You went, okay, no sense saying no to this. Let's just figure it out. Or was there, I don't know, do you have family, friends, or you're like, I want to work more in Dubai because I want to
You
be able
know
to get
what?
there?
For the last 25 years, I've traveled extensively to the Middle East.
Hmm.
And I've always thought that our aesthetic would work there.
Ah.
And I had a very good friend, the same friend again, said to me, I said, I think I'd like to open a business in Dubai. And he said to me, I'll tell you when it's the right time, Helen. And things were growing, okay? Things were really growing in Dubai. I was seeing new developments, all the branded residences. And I was thinking, I think they now are ready for a high end residential interior design team like ours. And I said, and he turned around, he said to me, now's the time.
You're ready.
And
Go.
you know what? You still got to create your own business there. Just because you're successful in London doesn't mean to say you can be successful in
Right.
another country overnight. It's
Especially a
taken three
7 hour
years.
flight.
It's taken 3 years and it's taken a lot of hard work, but I can honestly say it's come to fruition now. However, we have got a bit of a war going on at the moment, which is a bit unpredictable. But you know
Yes.
what? Our phones haven't stopped ringing, and
Can
the
you
opportunities
imagine
will
that?
still keep going.
Can you imagine
Only
that?
the other
That's
day, I had a
bonkers.
call from someone buying on Naya Island, and Naya Island is a plot that they've built at the side of the Burj Al Arab, and they're building like a mini Maldives there. And it's an exclusive development, and someone wants to put a team together. So they're getting their contractors, their architect, their interior designers, and they're building this incredible 30,000 square foot home.
Whoa.
Obviously, we're talking about people who've got multi homes around the world, okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
A
it's
few
still a very
shekels.
desirable, it's still, and the Middle East is very much, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I
Wow.
really like that. I like the heartbeat of that. If you build it,
Yeah.
you imagine it, you can do it. And
Yeah.
nothing is off limits. And I quite like that philosophy.
Oh, isn't that
So
interesting?
yeah, so we opened, and of course, nothing's been plain sailing, but they're very much they encourage entrepreneurship out there. They encourage people to, you know, um, expand their horizons and do what they feel, they're capable of doing, and believe in themselves.
Mm.
And the ethos, the motto, stood well with me.
Mm.
It resonated very much so.
Yes. Yes. It aligns
And
with
the
you.
rest is history. And we've got about six big projects on there at the moment, and a great team. We've built, I'd say building the team was probably the hardest thing, because you want to create, and I've lent on our London team quite a lot over those 3 years
Mm.
to,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
come out,
Support and
teach, support, learn,
yes.
help.
Pick
And
up the
we've now
balls
got,
that might get dropped before they're fully built out there, right?
absolutely. So we've
Yes.
got we've got a great team out in Dubai now. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
I'm going to take you back to the Business of Interior Summit, Community Summit, before I let you go. Couple of things. Number one, I'm interested your observations of the day that you were there, and then the other thing is, before you share that, what's funny is I don't know. Like for me, everybody was new, right? Other than Rick and Rachel and Jude.
yeah,
Um, so when different people were either as attendees, either asking a question or contributing something, for the most part, they were like, hi, my name's Bill Smith. I have a company here in London and I have 5 employees, right? So you kind of got some context. There were at 3 or 4, and then there was the panel that first day of a couple
yeah,
of gentlemen and stuff. I mean, there were multiple business owners, design firm owners that attended that summit. Yes, there must have been 10 that were women of solo teams or 1 to 3 employees, but there was a half a dozen that were like you. Like, I've got a firm of 20, I've got a firm of 30, I've got an office in London and an office in Dubai. I think another guy did. We have an office in Singapore.
yeah.
I was just like, whoa. I was totally blown away by not just the caliber of the speakers, which was through the roof, but the attendees as well.
Yeah.
So, did you know a lot of them, or were they new to you? Like, you might remember them easier than me because everybody was new to me.
Well, actually, I knew more of the panels than I did
Okay.
probably the attendees, although I did know some of the attendees. But what I absolutely love about Rachel and the Business of Interiors and everything that she's trying to do is to build this community where you help each other.
Yep.
And you know what? It's a great thing that you are better as a community together than alone, just
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I get it, and I wholeheartedly support that, which is why I've offered to come and do the talk now, because for something for 28 years, I can offer somebody something that maybe they can learn and take into their everyday life that can be life changing for them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that gives me great satisfaction. And I like this community. This is
Yeah.
what I like. I like giving back. I think
Yes.
life would be a lot better if we all gave back. And
Well, and
you know,
I don't know how you felt about it. And I'm curious because also being a seasoned business owner, I know that you have probably the same ability as I do. When I'm listening to somebody speak, I don't care if it's at High Point, it's at London, it's at Vegas Market. There's times that I'm just like, yeah, you don't have your chops yet. Like it sounds good. It sounds good, but it's sound bites. You're repeating what you have been, you've heard is the right way to do a thing, or is the path to doing it, or the system that should be in place. But I have the radar for, yeah, you don't really own it. And I'm going to tell you what, there was not one speaker in 2 days, not one. I don't know the last time I've seen 7 or 8 speakers in 2 days. And I was just like literally going, oh, yes, this person is talking from experience. This person is talking truthful business tenets. There's times when I will watch somebody give a presentation. I'll be like, no, 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 no. See, that's not how it's done. Like, stop taking notes, everybody. But I'm just sitting there going, okay, so you're a magazine editor and you're telling this room how to run a business. That's so special. It's like, but this was like one rock star after another. So did you have a similar experience? Because I
yeah,
got to believe with your team and many years of experience, you've got that same BS radar, right?
absolutely. And you know what? I've got this great thing. Every day is a learning day for me. Just
Yeah,
because
you
I've
could
been doing
pick
it for 28
something.
years, I say to the team, I learn
Oh,
every day.
I had two
And
pages,
the day you think
pages
you
of
know it
notes.
all is the day you shouldn't be doing this job, because
Exactly.
I am shocked every
Yeah.
day. I learn something new every day.
Yeah.
And for sure, I think I think it's really great as well. And I think I asked something about a software package to, I think it was James Elliott, or the guy from Sims Hilditch. Um, you know, what estimate package are you using at the moment?
Yeah. Is
Because
he the one with the company in Singapore too?
correct.
And yes, it was huge
And they
company.
were trying this new software package. And you know what? Sometimes it's great to talk, because don't use that one. I had a nightmare with that. Or do
Exactly.
use this one. And that's what I mean about coming together and it's
Yeah.
shared experiences and helping each other.
Yeah.
Because it could be the little things that could save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
You could have invested a lot of money on that software package and it doesn't do what it says on the tin. And then you've got to reinvest in something else as well. And I'm all for sharing information,
Mhm.
giving examples of why something could be good, and give it a
Mhm.
go, or get that free estimate package and try it out first before you go ahead in and commit. And
Yeah.
it's things like that I think are wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think we can all share that information. And yes, I learned that day. I learned about that.
I did
I
too.
learned
I was taking notes. I was like, for 2 days, I had a book full of notes. I was like, this is amazing. And what it is I think for someone like yourself or me that does have a lot of experience, it isn't always the thing I hear or learn is something I wasn't aware of, but it's almost always, gosh, you forgot about that.
yeah,
Or that the way they said it unlocked it. And you're just like, now I get it and I can bring it back to my business.
yeah.
And so it's not about somebody, I never require a speaker to say things that I've never known before. Just show it to me in a different light so that my brain can fire on it in a way it might not have before.
It's a
And
light bulb moment, isn't it?
yes,
I
yes,
get it
yes.
now and I can adapt it. And I can see, you see a
Exactly.
roadmap how you can adapt that into your work that's going to change
Exactly.
things for the better. Yeah.
Yeah. I was so impressed with Rachel. I had met her, once over Zoom, a couple of times over Zoom before the event. And, she's just such a down to earth. I said to her one time, are you sure you're not from New Jersey? I'm like, I don't know. I think you're from New Jersey. I don't think you're from London.
And you know what? She had a career change, what, 8, 9 years ago as well.
She's a
From
detective in
I mean,
Scotland Yard for crying.
well, that you see, look at those advantages that she brings to the job as well. I mean,
Exactly.
the skill set is off
Yeah.
the Richter scale. But yeah, she is amazing. She's
Yeah.
so down to earth. She's so humble, and she's so giving, and I
Yeah,
love
and
that
she
about her.
really surrounds herself, to your point, surrounds herself with quality people. I was just from every attendee, and what's nice about this event especially if you are able to spend the 2 days like I was able to, there is a lot of time to have some good conversations, at the breakfast, at the lunch, at the afternoon cocktail, snacks, and parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And the event itself is small enough that even every presentation almost becomes sort of a give and take of ideas and inspiration and clarity, because it's small enough group to do that. And from the people I met that are solo and brand new and 3 years in business, all the way to rock stars like yourself, I was like, this is insanity. This is a
Yeah.
great room. So
It's really good. And, and just like everything in business, you might be a good designer, you might be good with the financials, but you might be useless with the clerical side of it. And so there's something there for everyone, whether
yeah,
it's be finding a good, property lawyer or
yeah,
something there.
yeah,
You can all take things away from it.
yeah,
100%. I think it was an amazing event. I think she's done incredible against all odds as well for her, with her health and different things like that. She's
yeah.
an inspiration to me, that is for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And you know what? Look, we had designers there from Spain, all over. And we had US designers there too. So, really, wherever you're listening to us from, you're invited. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And it's pretty cool to
yeah,
be in that environment where you do really have very different cultures all coming together. Like here in the US, we actually have cultures too. We have our Southerners, we have our Jersey people, we have our different personalities. We've got our laid back Californians, right? But it's that on the next level, because I
yeah.
experience that as I go around the country. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay. And I literally look at them and go, oh, okay, I got to dial back the Jersey for you guys. Like, I get it. It's okay. Right. But it's that at a next level. And it's really, I don't know, I find it fascinating. I
Yeah.
absolutely find it fascinating to learn the different way that any other person runs their interior design firm, because there's a billion business models, but then you add that layer of the culture coming from the different international countries. It's the only word I can describe. It's fascinating, exhilarating. I recommend it for everybody. I
And
really
I
do.
actually think London, okay, we are so cosmopolitan.
Oh,
We
and
have
it was
people from
gorgeous setting.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think because of our global,
Mm-hmm.
cosmopolitan world in London, I think that's why you get such an array of
Yeah.
everything here.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I think you get a very broad outlook. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
that's
It
typical.
it was, and I don't know what happened. The stars and planets lined up, but it was, like 80 degrees and sunny. It was like all the Londoners like, it's so hot. I'm like, it's June. This is June. They're like, it's so hot. And I'm like, this is amazing.
We don't do very very cold. We don't do snow, and we don't do very hot very well in the
I
UK.
know. It
Everything
was,
in between, but not that.
yeah. But I had only been to London once before, and I had absolutely no expectation of seeing the sun. I really did. I mean, you want to talk about bad stereotype, right? But I was like, I remember the first day, because I landed in the morning, and I landed on Sunday morning. We were starting Monday morning. And so I land, and the room isn't ready, obviously, and I've got to wait till 2 o'clock or whatever. And I just was like, it's such a beautiful area. The Chelsea Design District is just so gorgeous. I
Yeah.
mean, just like it's out of a storybook. The stores and the flowers and the cobblestones, and I'm just like, did I just like pop into like this fake Epcot Disney World that looks perfect? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just walking, or I spent like 4 hours just walking. And everything under the sun that I would never do. I went to a park and I sat there for 25 minutes. I walked into a church and walked in, and they were starting the service in 5 minutes. I was like, well, I think I'll stay for it. It was crazy. Like, I'm surprised the church didn't burn down. Like, what is she doing in here? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the only
But
thing I'll say, Luann, is it might not be as sunny next time you come. Do look at the weather forecast, because it's unpredictable.
no. But it was a beautiful experience, and I highly encourage everybody to
Yeah,
join Helen and myself at the Business of Communities
absolutely.
Interior
It's
Summit. Yeah,
wonderful and
yeah.
very worth it. And very much, for anyone that participates and spends the money, I would say it's probably some of the best money in business you
Oh,
can probably
yeah,
um, put your money into,
yeah.
because, you learn so much.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just add one final thing for everyone who's used to coming to my coaching events.
Yeah.
I love my coaching events and I have my lane, but my lane is like no frills. I'm like, hey, I got 5 people here with me. I got 25 of you. We're going to bust your brains. We're going to smack you around and we're going to send you back out into the world with your stuff all, wired the right way. Right. But this was beautiful showrooms, sandwiches and catering that looked like they were going to the Queen Elizabeth instead of the us. It was just so over the top, the experience. And I was like, yeah, little nice things here and there isn't so bad, Lou. And I'm just like, look, here's your coffee, here's your eggs, get working.
These creatives, that's the world we like, right? That's the world we like, to surround ourselves with beautiful things. It makes us feel good.
It is. I said to Vinny, I never really put a lot of stock into this stuff, but it is a great thing to be on the other side of it. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
My goodness.
The financial side of you might say, is it worth it?
I know. This is what I'm always doing. You know what I mean?
But the creative one says you have to inspire. You have to, create dreams.
Yeah, I literally, every time we're doing an event, my team's like, I'm like, we're going to get swag that people are just going to throw away? No, we're not doing it. Spend it on the speaker or spend it on this. There's something to being too practical, I have to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am so grateful for you to spend your time here, Helen. I was waiting a year practically to pick your brain.
It's been my absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you in June again, Luann.
Yes, I can't wait. Thank you tons, my friend.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
I told you this was going to be a good conversation, right? Now, there's a lot here I want to walk you through. So let's start with something Helen said that sounds simple, but isn't always. She said, always surround yourself with the very best you can afford because they are going to take you to the next level. She heard that from a businessman early in her career, and she has carried it with her for 28 years. The best accountant, the best architect, the best project manager. I'm going to say the best website developer, the best social media person, the best right-hand person in your company, right? Whatever it looks like at the stage of business that you are in right now. You do not rise by doing everything yourself. You rise by knowing what you can afford to do without, and then finding the person who does it better than you can do it. She also said something that I want to point out to you. She said, ask 6 or 7 qualifying questions, and then you will start to know your answer. You will know if the client is real, if the budget is real, if it's a fit. And here is the thing to add to this, because I've said this to coaching clients more times than I can count. When you ask the questions, you have to listen to both answers, the one that is coming out of their mouth and the one that's coming from your gut. Helen said that she turned down a job recently because she did her due diligence and knew the client, found out that the client had a history of not paying people. She said there is something very powerful in saying no, right? She was listening to her gut feeling on it, and she's right. And now maybe you're in this moment taking jobs you already know are wrong because you want the money. Okay, I'm a big fan of qualifying in, not qualifying out, but qualifying in within criteria that you have set for your firm. Okay, because if you just let everybody through the front door because they're going to pay you money, that's going to cost you more in the end. Now, I know we got let a lot of people through the front door because we have bills to pay, but have a criteria. Okay. Another thing that stopped me in this conversation was Helen's backup palette discipline. She said her team always prepares 2 options, never 17, but always 2. One strong concept and one backup that can come forward if they need it, right? And she also said before anything goes to the client, it goes through Helen and Jenny first. They are the critic before the client ever sees it. And I want you to think about, how does this translate for you in your business? The internal review, the backup option ready, the presentation that has already been stress tested. Okay, this isn't extra work. This is the difference between a confident presentation and a nervous one. It's what I said. This is your batting cage practice so that when you get to the big game, you can swing and hit, right? And then the remortgage story. Helen got to a point in the business where things dried up, where the overhead was real and work wasn't coming in quite fast enough to maintain the business. And she made the decision to remortgage her house to get through it. This is not a small thing, my friends, right? And I know what it feels like because we've been in our own version of this at WindowWorks at different points during our career. I told you on podcasts before, there's periods when Min and I did not take paychecks so that we could make sure that our employees were able to stay and the lights stayed on. We believed in what we built and we had a plan and we pushed through it. Things will get tough, but you can get through them. All right. Helen said the same thing. She had the belief. She had a plan. And when your back is against the wall, and it will be at some point if you're in it long enough, this is the combination that gets you through. Not luck, not a perfect economy, but belief and a plan. One last thing. Helen said, the day you think you know it all is the day you should not be doing this job. And I would say any job, right? She said she had 2 pages of notes from the Business of Interiors Community Summit from last summer, 2025. 2 pages after 28 years. That's who she is. And I think that's a pretty good North Star for the rest of us. So Helen, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It took us a while to get here, but I'm so glad we did. And if you want to learn more about Helen and Hill House Interiors, go to hillhouseinteriors.com. Links to everything, including their lifestyle collection at hillhouselifestyle.com, are also in the show notes. Now, before I let you go, I've got to talk about the Business of Interiors Community Summit. It is back this summer in London, June 22nd and 23rd, 2026. I am really asking you to give it a hot minute thought to think if you want to come to this. This is where Helen and I met. This summit is run by Rachel Usher and Rick Campos, who have been on the podcast, and we'll put the link to their episode in the show notes. And I, too, left with pages of notes after 4 decades in business. And I go to a lot of design events, my friends. I really do. And I left with pages and pages of notes. The caliber of the speakers, the intimacy of the room, the quality of the conversations, it is a rare thing. And I sat there for 2 days and I kept thinking, wow, isn't this special? Now, this year's theme for the summit is resilience, which I got to say, I'm about to say it's timely, but resilience is always timely in your business, okay? And I, of course, am excited that I'm going to be back there as a keynote speaker. Helen and her partner, Jenny, are also on the speaker roster this year as well. So if you want to be in a room with people who are actually doing the work, who are building real businesses and are willing to talk about it honestly, this is the room. 2 days in London, 2 exceptional showroom venues, gourmet meals, evening drinks reception, and conversations that will stay with you long after, I promise. You can find all the details and ticket options at thebusinessofinteriors.co.uk. The link is also in the show notes. I promise you, it's worth every minute and the flight. Thanks tons for joining me today. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.